Chapter 3.3 Creating and Sharing Snapshots of Data. In Chapter 3.2 we showed how registered or authorized users can create data collections and share these with other users and partners of the system. However, there's additional functionality available that allow, again, authorized users to create snapshots of data and share them within the resource library. The system can allow users, as we've demonstrated, to generate tables, charts and maps. Going back to the GCSE data example that we looked at earlier, let's say we wanted to produce a specific table of this data and share that with our fellow users. To do so, we will use the pivot and publish table function. We introduced this function in chapter 2.1. However, this time we're going to take it one step further. So let's say we are wanting to create a table containing all geographies on the x-axis. We're only going to contain all variables on the y-axis, but we're going to do it for just the latest data. And we'll just call this GCSE data in city centre. So I've generated that table, and as previously shown, we can export or change the data. We can change how we sort and present the data, or even format the data in terms of layout. We can change colours and so forth. But let's say we've now done a little bit of work to this and we want to share this in a report or just as a snapshot as is. We will use the share table function. Selecting share data will take that snapshot and creates what we call a data object. So this data object, we can add certain metadata, such as the title, the category it should go into. So let's put that into education and skills. The date published is today. Width and height are not appropriate for tables, but would be appropriate if we were publishing a chart or a map. We have a few other options available here then. Available takes it offline or online. We can include this in our object library. This basically means that we can make this table available in our report writer. So I'm going to do that just so I can demonstrate in one of the later chapters. And I can also include this as an object in the resource library, which we covered in sections 1.4. So I can give it some commentary. So we'll say again, neighbourhood data for city centre, and this is 2008. And again, I can decide who should see this. Let's say again we want public users to have access to it, and we want it to fall within education and skills, and we also want to put it into our JSNA. Once I click update, that data object has now been added into the JSNA as a resource. So if I go and view the education theme again, we can see there is that GCSE data in city centre as a resource, the author, the publisher and so forth, and I can simply open that resource and view the data. Now the resource editor, or the resource library, allows me to add a lot more metadata to this resource, and I'll be covering that off in the next chapter, chapter 3.4. So I'll leave that for now. But let's say we also want to create a map and share that. So let's go back to our collections, because that's what I based this on. I'm going to view the data, and we're going to load the GCSE attainment, and this time we'll create a map. And because we want people to view this map in other documents, we're not going to do it as electronic. We'll do it as a print-only map of those that did attain GCSE. And let's say the scope of the data is the entire data set. We'll generate that. So you can see that that's all quite low. So actually I will go back and change that to maybe 3 classifications. So let's say now this map we want to share with other users as a resource. I have 2 options this time: share map as SVG or share map as JPEG. This time we're going to do it as a JPEG. So you can see under the preview tab how that looks. Under the details, I can again change which category it should fall into. I can also change the height and width. So let's say we want to make this 800, and we can give it more commentary. And again, I put it into the object library and include it as a resource. And just like the tables, this will now be available under the education domain. Actually, I didn't set security, so under publish I'm going to put it into education and available to demo users. Sorry, public users. And I can return to the data query, do the same for charts. So let's create a time series chart. That'll do, and we'll share this chart, and again we'll change the resolution of it to 800 and put it under our education domain, our category, include it in our object library and include it as a resource. We'll make that available to public users and also to the education theme. So now when I go back to my education theme from the home page, we can see a series of resources: GCSE data in terms of table, chart, and I've lost the map. That was possibly it there. So as you can see, very quick and easy to share these resources with a variety of users. I have in this example shared them directly with public, but that's because I wanted to demonstrate that there's nothing stopping me setting up permissions to share it with other specific users or groups. And in the next chapter we'll be looking at taking this one step further and creating our own reports within the system and using these objects within those reports.